I made a video recently discussing Assassin's Creed Codename Empire that actually went semi-viral, currently at 125,000 views. Thank you so much for that, by the way. Many of you are probably subscribers from that video, so hopefully this will scratch that Assassin's Creed itch and answer a question that I have been wondering recently as well. In that video, hundreds of you guys commented asking, where the heck is Assassin's Creed Japan? Why the hell have we never gotten Assassin's Creed Tokyo? It seems like the perfect setting. Perfect. Match made in heaven. Assassins as ninjas running around, fighting samurai, doing backflips off of weirdly shaped roofs. It's seemingly a perfect match. And I realized that, and I was like, oh yeah, no, that does seem weirdly perfect. Why have they not done this? There's got to be some good reason out there why they wouldn't have done this. So I began digging, as I do. And I've come up with some things that are both disheartening and also encouraging at the same time for weird reasons, which I will explain. Just bear with me. Now, let's just jump right into it. I came across an interview by Pete Haas of Total Xbox that he did with Ubisoft creative director Alex Hutchinson. Now, Alex Hutchinson, according to his LinkedIn page, has worked on Assassin's Creed 3, and he's also worked on Far Cry 4. Since Far Cry 4, we don't know what he's been working on, but it's safe to assume that he was tapped to go back to the Assassin's Creed series because we haven't heard anything else from him. And naturally, when nothing is announced and when they aren't talking about what they're working on, it's an unannounced title. And this guy's worked on Assassin's Creed in the past, so it's a decent idea that he would be working with this. Not to mention that he works at the studio where the next game is rumored to be under development. All of that said, he was asked in this interview why Japan hasn't been featured in this series. And what he said was, quote, "In the broad strokes and scale of history, that's a theme that's been well mined in video games. So Assassin's Creed is one of those games that can take lesser known time periods or corners of the world and make them cool, fun, new, and refreshing," end quote. And so he acknowledges that the setting would work for Assassin's Creed, but that it's been well mined in video games. Essentially, in his eyes, it's too simple. It's overdone. And it would actually it would be too obvious in many ways. And he also went on and said, quote, "People on the internet suggest the most boring settings. The three most wanted are World War II, feudal Japan, and Egypt." And this is the really interesting part. They're kind of the three worst settings for an Assassin's Creed game, end quote. Now that's coming from the guy that has very, very close ties with Assassin's Creed. And what I find the most interesting is that not only does he acknowledge what all of us want, which is Assassin's Creed in World War II, in feudal Japan, and Egypt. And he acknowledges these things, specifically with Egypt, because all of the current leaks, either they're intentional by Ubisoft to mislead people or they're genuine. If they are genuine, as they most likely are, then they're doing the next game in Egypt. And if they're doing the next game in Egypt, it seems that either Ubisoft higher-ups or Alex Hutchinson himself has had a change of heart with regard to these three settings, because he's changed his mind about Egypt, which he grouped in the same three as World War II, feudal Japan, and Egypt. He grouped them together as the three worst settings for an Assassin's Creed game. Now, is it possible he's not working on Assassin's Creed? Yes, it's possible he's working on a Far Cry 5 or something, right? It's possible. But it's also possible he's working on Assassin's Creed Empire. But regardless, as one of the head people in Ubisoft that's very, very close to the Assassin's Creed title, he would have some say in the choosing of locations, big decisions, big creative decisions for the series. And the fact that at least 2 years ago, he seems to have been against this, I find very interesting. Now, let me offer my 2 cents as we get into the latter portion of this video. So you can go ahead and leave if you don't want to hear this, but this is what I think this actually means. I honestly think, as we've seen with many game development companies in the past, that this is a red herring in many cases. This is only 2 years ago. If Assassin's Creed Empire is truly slated for release in 2017, late 2017, as it's been rumored to be released, then this game would have been in the early stages of development at that time. 2 years ago, it would have been slated. They would have known where they're going. They would be working on the art direction. They'd probably be working out kinks in the engine. They'd be getting going. I mean, they'd be in the early stages. So the fact that at this point, 2 years ago, he says outright, Egypt, Japan, World War II, bad. It could be he's trying to discredit rumors that were starting to come out that it was going to be set in Egypt. It's possible. It's possible. I'm not going to ignore it. I definitely think it's possible. But what I think personally happened is that he's trying to shove people away, say, no, it's not going to Egypt. He's trying to discredit the rumors so that people stay excited for the game when it's eventually released. Will it work? Not really, because everything's been leaking recently, but it's a valiant effort. We've seen this type of thing before. The developers of The Last of Us over at Naughty Dog, they were saying for months and months and months that you couldn't actually play as Ellie in The Last of Us, that you couldn't. You would never get control of her. And they said that because they wanted that moment in the game to be that much more incredible. Game developers tend to lie about elements in their game if it's crucial or if they really want it to be a surprise. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, but they do it, okay? They do it. Now, as for going way back, as for his original arguments, another reason why I think this is BS, his arguments for saying Japan is overdone and has been, quote, well-mined in video games, I think is rubbish. Because games like Tenchu or Total War Shogun 2 or a bunch of others set in Japan, none of them are remotely like Assassin's Creed, where it's free roaming, where it might be set in the old days with free roaming, with all sorts of cool parkour elements. None of them are remotely like Assassin's Creed. And so I think that argument really falls short. And so my idea as to what's going on here, I think they are planning a game set in Japan, whether it's the next installment or if it's going to come in a few years. I think this leak, looking at it from the perspective we have now with all of the Assassin's Creed Egypt rumors floating about, I think it's safe to say either this was never true and he was just trying to cover up his tracks and keep it a surprise, or he actually has changed his mind and come around to see that, well, you know what? Just because it's predictable doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Sometimes predictability is predictable because it's the best thing, you know? Not everything has to be unpredictable. Sometimes unpredictable things suck. That's just how it is. But let me know what you think. This video is really dragged on. I apologize for that. I did warn you that I tend to ramble and that you could leave, so I don't want to hear any of those comments blaming me for rambling, because I warned you. But thank you for watching, honestly. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. It could inspire another video. You never know. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure to do that. Hit that like button. And with all that said, guys, thank you for watching. I love each and every single one of you more than you could possibly know. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.